thanks for joining us on this very busy Friday. Brian is off. He's down in Florida. I think he's going to be at the Villages later today.
Yesterday he was.
West
Palm Beach today. I have his schedule in my calendar.
Oh, that's right. He's in West Palm Beach.
West Palm Beach
today. You're welcome, Brian.
And Pete's here in his place.
You're welcome.
I wish you just keep playing that song. I love
that song, too. I've seen them in concert.
Just roll it for the rest of the A block.
All right. Meanwhile, let's talk a little bit about what's going on up on Capitol Hill. You know what? Republican lawmakers are steamed, and they are to the stage where they may actually subpoena Rod Rosenstein, the Assistant Attorney General for the United States, and Chris Wray, who appeared yesterday on Capitol Hill, because they simply are not providing the information that Congress, in its oversight capacity, needs to figure out what the heck is going on at the FBI.
That's exactly right, because we're learning more and more. We seem to learn a lot through the media and through leaks and other things about what may or may not be happening, or when people are fired because of, say, sending text messages to their girlfriend that are clearly anti-Trump, pro-Hillary Clinton. In this particular case, congressional investigators are discovering even more that the knowledge of the dossier project, the dirty dossier, Christopher Steele, funded by the Hillary Clinton campaign, they eventually paid Russians. The knowledge of that went all the way to the top of Obama's Department of Justice, to include a career justice official, the Associate Deputy AG. His name is Bruce Orr. He works underneath Sally Yates, and he was let go recently, ousted from that Mueller team.
I think yesterday.
So that's his picture right there. Bruce Orr. He had multiple contacts with Fusion GPS, who Hillary paid the law firm. The law firm paid Fusion GPS. They paid Christopher Steele, and then they paid the Russians. The question is, was it used to justify spying or surveilling President Trump? Was that guy involved in it? What does he know? The DOJ, all we're saying is, or all these Republicans are saying in the House, Devin Nunes is leading this, he's saying, we just want to know what you knew. Who did you meet with? You have all these contacts that were involved in that. We want to see if that led to this fake dirty dossier, if that led to spying on the current president while he was running against Hillary.
Sure. And yesterday, when the new FBI director was up on Capitol Hill, he had a very convenient way to dodge questions, because he said, you know what, your question pertains to Robert Mueller's investigation. He's working on that. And then we've got this another Inspector General for the Department of Justice overlooking the whole shebang to figure out whether or not things are on the up and up.
And if it's about FISA, then I can't talk about it at all. So members of Congress in that particular committee had some serious exchanges with Christopher Wray. This is what they said.
If you kicked everybody off Mueller's team who was anti-Trump, I don't think there'd be anybody left. The Democrat National Committee and the Clinton campaign paid the law firm, who paid Fusion GPS, who paid Christopher Steele, who then paid Russians.
And now we have Special Agent Strzok. And that same agent is the one who reportedly interviewed Secretary Clinton in an interview that you and I have never seen conducted that way before.
Whether Strzok was involved in this, that needs to be disclosed to Congress. Whether the dossier was used to generate surveillance with a FISA court on a Trump associate, that needs to be disclosed to Congress.
Did Peter Strzok, was he involved in taking that to the court?
I'm not going to discuss in this setting anything to do with the FISA court applications.
Because it's one thing for the DOJ or the FBI to do their due diligence. If someone shows up with a dossier that may show connections to the Russians, you're going to want to probably look into that a little bit. It's a whole nother thing to use it as a justification without any substantiation or very limited substantiation, and then use it to justify potentially spying on Americans, to include wiretapping Trump Tower. Which
it just looks shady. It looks like if, no telling if the FBI was involved in that, or if some of these people that had contacts with Christopher Steele. I don't know if they concocted this whole thing to say, let's come up with this dirty dossier so that we can have a reason to spy on the president. It just looks like that might have happened.
It looks shady. Conflation. It's like, maybe there's something there so we can use it to justify more surveillance than would otherwise be warranted.
Which is so corrupt. You can't do that. So we just want to know answers. Yeah. We shouldn't have to subpoena people. People in the DOJ should, where is Jeff Sessions? Why isn't Jeff Sessions saying, we'll give you the information. You don't have to subpoena.
Well, here's the thing. When you look at the names now, every day there are more names. Yesterday we heard about
learning
Bruce
a new
Orr.
name every day.
A couple of days before, we heard about Peter Strzok and his girlfriend, who he was having the affair with, extramarital, Lisa Page, She was an attorney for Mueller, and then you got Weissman. And then I saw this morning you have Jenny Rhee is a former Justice Department lawyer who joined the special counselors team. She is now under scrutiny. She used to work at the Clinton Foundation. She was also a partner at a law firm where she represented Ben Rhodes, former Obama national security person.
Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, when you take a look, you know, and yesterday the director was very clear. We're looking to see if there is bias, and we'll let you know because the Inspector General is going to do that. It looks to us like there is when you just look at all those names and what eventually happened in the run-up to the election. Dan Bongino says, look, this FBI investigation, and he's a former lawman, is a scam.
I'm really terrified right now. And, you know, I know that may sound hyperbolic to some of the Democrats listening, but I mean it. As a former federal agent who's been inside both the White House and inside the federal government, do you realize the awesome power the federal government has? It's so powerful that a sitting president, the most powerful man in the world, has been targeted by it, by a clearly political process. This is not a criminal process. This is a political process. And there's nothing he can do. Listen to me. This is a scam. And if this is allowed to proceed, Americans' faith in the constitutional republic is going to be shaken, I promise you.
Okay, so there he's talking about whether or not the dossier was used, remember, opposition research to justify a FISA warrant to spy on the Trump people.
And, you know, when this whole Russia, as the president calls it, witch hunt started, they thought it was going to lead to the top of the Oval Office. It would go straight. It turns out it's cascading and boomeranging right back around. And the question, they actually asked the FBI director, could the Hillary case be reopened? Could that be a consequence of what we're now finally learning? This is what the director had to say.
The Inspector General is looking at the very important question of whether or not improper political considerations factored into the decision making. If he were to conclude that that's what happened, then I think at that point we're in a situation where we have to assess what else might need to be done to unring that bell.
You just hope the investigation is an investigation.
Would we know any of this if Hillary had won?
No.
Well, of course not.
Absolutely not.
If she had won, we would know none of this, and they would all have their jobs, and they'd all be promoted, and they'd all be working with the Clinton Foundation, and they'd all be enriching themselves. And that's what frustrates the forgotten man that elected President Trump. I feel like the system is rigged against me, and now I realize it's rigged in a partisan sense, which should scare, as Dan Bongino said, every single person.
But there are tens of thousands of people who work for the FBI, and we're not suggesting that they're in on this. We're simply suggesting that it does appear that people at the very tippy top who have been involved in these national security investigations, it looks like there is a political bias, and that's what the Inspector General is looking into.
They use the word special themselves. We're going to have a special investigation with just a few of us.
All right, if you're just waking up, we talked about this story in the 6 o'clock hour, and many of you are fired up about it. We've gotten a lot of emails. Lindsey Vonn, who's the Olympic skier, she's going to the Winter Olympics in South Korea in February, I believe. So she is going to be competing, obviously, as an American, and she said yesterday that she is not skiing for the president. Listen.
You previously competed at 3 Olympic Games under 2 presidents. How will it feel competing at an Olympic Games for a United States whose president is Donald Trump?
Well, I hope to represent the people of the United States, not the president. You know, I want to represent our country well. And I don't think there are a lot of people currently in our government that do that. So
she would represent the people, not the president. Look, that was a loaded question from the interviewer, but nonetheless, you are infuriated by Lindsey Vonn saying that she would represent the people and not our leader.
Oh, wait, so Donald Trump is a person, right? And he does live in America?
Person.
Yeah,
right.
So maybe he is part of America as well, and would be. But you just think about, I think about wearing the flag on my shoulder in combat, wearing that flag in an international setting, representing your country, the honor that is. And now, you know, the question, as you said, was totally loaded and absurd. It would never be asked of Obama. But the answer is easy. Listen, I'm going to represent every single American, including my president.
Right.
That's it. How about try that one?
Right. She's a Hollywood. She's, you know, it's par for the course.
Yeah.
We're seeing this in sports. I mean, what is this going to lead to? Are people going to take a knee at the Olympics now?
That's what some people have written in this morning. We got a tweet from Michael. Vonn isn't skiing for my president, then she isn't skiing for me either. She should ski under Olympic flag or not ski at all.
And a tweet from Thomas, Vaughn's statement is unpatriotic and shameful. Don't want her representing me. Hope she gets kicked off the team.
And a tweet from Michael.
He says, Vaughn, oh, wait, keep rolling. Sorry, the prompter's messing up here. Vaughn is skiing from... We already read this one.
So sorry.
No, it really
Anyway,
is.
we'd like to hear from you. Email us friends@foxnews.com, or you could Facebook us, or you could tweet us.
That's exactly right.
Meanwhile, Jillian's got a bunch of news for us on this Friday.
Good morning. It's, if you see the words in the prompter go. A deadly gang plot to kidnap and beat a classmate foiled by police. 5 suspects, including 3 known members of MS-13, now under arrest in Long Island, New York. Police say they plan to abduct a 16-year-old believed to be from a rival gang so they could kill him. This all happening in the town of Brentwood, where President Trump actually visited earlier this year, vowing to take down the brutal gang. Tough-talking Sheriff Joe Arpaio telling the Daily Beast that he is seriously considering pursuing the Arizona Senate seat vacated by the retiring Jeff Flake. Arpaio spent more than 2 decades as the Maricopa County Sheriff before losing the 2016 election. Earlier this year, President Trump pardoned his criminal contempt conviction. Other Republican candidates include Congresswoman Martha McSally and Steve Bannon-backed former state Senator Kelly Ward. To look at your headlines, so to be determined, we will certainly see what happens there.
We will indeed.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Jillian.
Thank you.
Jillian.
All right, we've got another Fox News alert on this Friday. Fierce winds and fires ripping through California, burning homes and causing mass destruction. The worst not over. A firefighter on the front lines is going to join us live next. Back with the Fox News alert, the governor of California asking for President Trump's help as raging wildfires intensify with no apparent end in sight.
More than 5,000 firefighters are battling those flames, battling all the fatigue to protect the lives and homes.
Boy, that's right. Including Los Angeles County firefighter and paramedic crew chief Michael Dubron, who joins us live. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us this morning. You're a busy man. With these images we see are stunning. People are still under threat. What are you dealing with this morning?
Well, we're continuing to deal with an epic condition that we really haven't seen, surely in my career, with a wind event that has sustained winds in the ranges of 50 to 60, even we've seen 70 to 80 miles an hour. And generally, these wind events last for a day or 2 or 3 days, but this event has been going on for almost a week now. And with so many greater alarm fires going on in the Southern California area, as you can imagine, the resources are being stretched thin and they're becoming fatigued at this particular point. But we're continuing to work diligently to get these things under control.
Michael, what are some of the stories that you can tell us, share with us, or some of the things that you've witnessed?
Well, it's tough for us to see that, when people lose their homes. It's, we see it from the air, from my perspective, flying in the helicopters, and we're doing our job to the best of our abilities. There's a lot of tactics and strategy that go along with fighting these wildland fires. But when you get a wind-driven event like this, we're concerned with human lives and property. And when we see that kind of devastation going on, it hurts us as well.
Sure. And I know you've been in this business for 27 years. You've never seen anything like this. Sure. What does it feel like when you're right there?
Well, for us, with the experience and the training that we have, and the whole system, there's a whole team that works in cooperation to try to put these fires out from the ground, from the air. Our brush crews, our bulldozers, our engine companies, everybody. It's a complete team effort.
Is it just like a blast furnace? Is it like standing next to a furnace?
It absolutely is. It's just, you're in absolute awe of the veracity of this type of an incident. Really, words, I think the pictures do it more justice, because I don't know if I can eloquently put into words the magnitude of what we're seeing on some of these videos and what we were able to share.
Well, God bless you, sir. You and everyone else fighting these fires, like you said, protecting people and property. We know it's a tough task. Thank you for what you're doing, Michael. And God bless you.
Just terrible.
Thank you.
They need some rain and they need the winds to stop.
Yeah, right.
And no relief in sight. Meanwhile, he's a friend of our program and a renowned legal scholar, but the left, the political left, is furious with Professor Alan Dershowitz. He's going to join us to tell you why, coming up.
Welcome back to Fox and Friends at just about the halfway point of our show. And now it's time for some news by the numbers. First, 420. That's how many calories are in Starbucks' new Christmas tree Frappuccino. Now, hater nutritionists are warning about the amount of sugar, fat, and calories wrapped into the drink, but it just looks like yumminess to me. It's mocha and peppermint flavored with matcha whipped cream, caramel, and candied cranberry. Now that could taste like Christmas. Next, $0. That's how much you'll pay for Chipotle's queso dip if you're wearing a cheesy holiday sweater. The deal is only good on Tuesday, December 12th. And of course, you have to buy a burrito, salad, or tacos. I'll buy 2 burritos. They're amazing. And finally, first, number 1, that holiday sweater will also get you early boarding on Alaska Airlines. The one-day promotion to celebrate National Ugly Holiday, or it should say National Ugly Christmas Sweater Day. It's on December 15th, and I'm sure we'll be celebrating it right here on the program as well. Ainsley, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Pete. Well, it's that time of year again. Colleges all across our country are issuing their guidelines on how to make the Christmas season as inclusive as possible. At the University of California, Irvine, departments are encouraged to focus on celebrating a special occasion instead of a specific holiday. Our next guest says the politically correct left preaches tolerance while stamping out Christianity. Ariana Rowlands is a campusreform.org correspondent, and she's a student at that school at UC Irvine, and she joins us now. Good morning to you, Ariana.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, I mean, I'm laughing because I'm reading what all these schools are doing. University of California, Irvine, your school. So I want to dive into this a little bit more. They're saying, as we just said in the intro, don't celebrate a specific holiday. They're saying celebrate the end of the year. Celebrate a season like fall, winter, or spring, but not a religious holiday. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, I think that it's shocking, but not really surprising. You know, campus reform reports on these instances that happen every year. These college campuses across the country are so focused on not offending people and protecting people's feelings that they'll pander to the minority to the detriment of the majority and remove and go over a big holiday in the process.
Do they really think, though, that the minority, that they really are going to be so offended by what the majority wants?
Right. Well, so as you know, colleges coddle students. You know, when I go around on campus and I see a menorah, I'm not really offended. I don't cry. We have freedom of religion in this country. But however, as a Christian student at UC Irvine, it does feel like I'm unwelcomed. All these other religions get this special priority, but all religions should be treated with equality. I would say right now that there's discrimination against Christians at UC Irvine.
Yeah, it's almost like it's okay to be any other religion, just not a Christian, right?
Right, absolutely.
All right, so let me read you what some of these other schools are doing and get your reaction. The State University of New York, Brockport, says no culturally sensitive holiday decorations. You can no longer have a secret Santa. Instead, you have to have a grab bag. You can't even have Santa.
Right. You know, I think that the key takeaway here is that all these colleges teaching students that any visual representations or demonstrations of faith is offensive. And these students, once they graduate and go out into the real world, are going to take that mentality with them. It seems that college administrators and college campuses don't really have respect for freedom of religion, just like they don't have respect for freedom of speech.
All right, here's another one. Ohio University. Your decorations must be secular, and if they're displayed in a public area. What's your reaction to that one?
I think that all of these people who are changing what it means, you know, to be in the holiday season, are really sort of missing the point. The holiday season is about joy, and the holiday season is about friendship, you know, and love. And all of these people who are taking away that meaning in the name of political correctness and inclusivity are really being exclusive to the people who believe in those things. For thousands of years, Christians have come together and celebrated the birth of Christ on December 25th, and just by naming it a different name doesn't take away the fact that people are still going to do it this year. It's a triumph, or at least the attempted triumph, of feeling over fact, and facts don't really care about your feelings.
All right, Ariana, thank you so much. I would say Merry Christmas, but I think at your school, I'm supposed to say Happy Winter, right?
Happy winter. Yes,
Okay,
happy winter to you as well.
Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. All right, liberals turning on Alan Dershowitz, saying he's not a serious legal expert, all because he defended something that President Trump did. Alan Dershowitz joins us live to react to that next.
Last night, I was in Washington, D.C., honored to be the MC for the Freedom Alliance's annual dinner where they honor heroes and they give scholarships to military families, those of the fallen. It's a fantastic organization led by someone here at Fox News Channel you may know, Oliver North, of course, started the Freedom Alliance 27 years ago.
There he is.
Ollie.
I had the honor of introducing him. You know, he's a Marine. The Army-Navy games on Saturday, they're doing that for Freedom Alliance. And I said, you know, go Army, beat Ollie, is my slogan for them.
And by the way, I happen to know that Freedom Alliance is always interested in donations.
Well, they sure are.
And particularly this time of year, a lot of people are looking at the end of the tax year for somebody to donate to. That is a great group.
They also make sure that no military kid goes without a toy on Christmas. They give scholarships like Folds of Honor to the children of those who gave their lives on the battlefield. Cool organization.
He used to go on the road with Sean Hannity. Do you remember when Sean did that American tour and he would do the concerts on the weekends and all the money that they made went to Freedom Alliance?
And of course, he's been doing war stories here on the Fox News Channel for 15 years.
And fought for our country.
All right. Meanwhile, let's bring in Alan Dershowitz, Harvard professor emeritus. He's also the author of a great book. It's called Trumped Up. He's a lifelong Democrat, a friend of this show. Alan, what did you make yesterday of the grilling by Republicans of the FBI director who, because it does appear there is a political bias at some of the top levels of the FBI?
Well, first of all, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah. I wish I were back on my university campus so I could help Christians celebrate Christmas, Jews celebrate Hanukkah, and Muslims celebrate their holidays. Let's celebrate every holiday and wish everybody good tidings on every day. Look, I think it's just proof of what's happening, the politicization of the criminal justice system. That's why right from the beginning I wanted to have a nonpartisan commission looking into this. When you have Congress look into it, the Republicans try to gain political advantage, the Democrats try to gain political advantage. When you have a special counsel lock her up against Hillary Clinton, lock him up against Donald Trump, I just think we have to move back and start looking at things objectively and scientifically and finding out what really happened. Now, I think we do see some bias among some FBI agents, but I'm sure the bias operates both ways. I'm sure there are people who are Trump supporters, people who are Clinton supporters, and what we have to do is make sure that people who have strong views recuse themselves from participating in any investigation.
Professor, you always talk about, is the conduct ultimately criminal? Is there something in the code? If we see that there is extreme bias at the top of the FBI, maybe collusion to hurt President Trump, are there crimes that you would see having been committed that would need to be investigated?
No, I don't see crimes. I see ethical violations that the Justice Department or the FBI might want to look into. But you remember that old ad on television that used to say, "Where's the beef?" Yeah. I always say, where's the statute? Where's the statute? Show me the federal criminal statute that has been violated. And of course, the Democrats say obstruction of justice. Well, that's like an accordion. You can make it as big or small as you want. And the Republicans are saying espionage against Hillary Clinton. That's also a very accordion-like statute. I don't want to see the criminal law expanded in that way simply to target political opponents.
Well, Professor, you're being shunned by liberals, even though you come on the show and you usually agree with the liberals. Tell us what happened.
Well, I call it the Donald Trump diet. I've lost 7 pounds because my liberal friends have stopped inviting me to dinner parties. And so after 4 years, I'll be back to my high school weight. Look, I think a lot of people on the left don't want to understand my view because they say, which side are you on? Oh, you're on Trump's side? No, no, no. Oh, you're on Clinton's side? I'm on nobody's side. I'm on the side of the rule of law, the Constitution. And the Constitution is clear. If a president exercises exercises his constitutional authority by firing somebody or by pardoning somebody, that cannot be the basis for obstruction of justice. If he goes further and lies or tells his people to destroy evidence, of course that's different. That's how Nixon and Clinton got in trouble. But President Bush cannot be charged with obstruction for simply exercising his Article 2 power under the Constitution. That's a clear point of view.
President Trump. And that's the point of view you expressed on this program a couple of days ago. And then the President of the United States retweeted, hey, you should watch Alan Dershowitz on Fox and Friends make that case. But then your liberal friends, their heads started exploding. And I understand somebody even suggested that you're being paid off by the Trump people.
Oh, yeah, no, I've been paid off, and I want to be a Supreme Court justice at the age of 79. Look, I'm also being attacked for my article yesterday saying that Trump was right in recognizing Jerusalem, and Obama was wrong when he engineered a resolution that would have changed the status quo by saying all of Judaism's holy places are now illegally occupied territory. I'm being criticized for that by people because that's what Trump said, and if Trump said it, that means Dershowitz can't say it because that means Dershowitz is on Trump's side. I'm on the side of justice and fairness.
You know, when you try to call balls and strikes, you'll offend and frustrate somebody all the time, which is the world that you're living in right now. So we appreciate you coming on and giving us your take.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Just do what we do. Don't read it.
I read it and I respond. I fight back.
All right. Before you go, Alan Dershowitz, any final holiday salutations?
Well, you know, it's a great holiday season. I think Christians ought to be encouraged to celebrate Christmas, Jews to celebrate Hanukkah. Every religious group in America is free to celebrate their holidays, and we shouldn't be hiding from the fact that America is a very religious country because we have separation of church and state. That's why religion thrives in America. Countries that don't have separation, antagonism is caused. That's why I'm opposed to Roy Moore, among other reasons. He doesn't believe in separation of church and state.
Well, happy Hanukkah, sir. We appreciate having him.
Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas.
You got it.
Thank you.
Too.
All right, it is 21 minutes now before the top of the hour on this Friday.
And Jillian has some headlines for us.
How about we celebrate Friday? You guys want to do that?
Celebrate that. There we go. Every Friday.
Good morning to you guys, to you at home as well. President Trump welcoming congressional leaders from both sides of the aisle to play Let's Make a Deal at the White House. And this time, top Democrats Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer both showed up. The high-stakes meeting focusing on bridging a political span the size of the Grand Canyon.
It's a well-knit together group of people, and we hope that we're going to make some great progress for our country.
We are here to make progress.
We're here in the spirit of let's get it done.
Those famous prayers could get a makeover. Pope Francis calling for a new translation of the Lord's Prayer. He says the line, lead us not into temptation, suggests God is the one who causes people to sin. Instead, he wants to use the French translation, do not let us fall into temptation, which would shift blame to mankind. A gender reveal hits the fast lane. A family finds out the sex of their unborn child in an awesome way. Watch. That's crazy. The Indiana man burning out in a twin-turbo Mustang, revealing a plume of pink as the crowd cheered. It's unclear when the little girl is due. But, man, people are getting creative with these gender reveals.
Do you have any idea how they did that? Because that's awesome.
No, that's crazy.
It's like a pink smoke bomb in the trunk.
That's awesome. I wonder if she's going to be Danica's competition.
The next Danica Patrick? Who knows?
Yeah.
Do a good start for sure.
Oh, they're having a little girl. They're going to love having a girl.
Thank you very much. All right, it is a chilly day here in New York City, and Janice Dean is outside with some of the folks.
Hi, wave everybody. You know what? Do you know that Houston, Texas has received more snow than Boston? Take a look at this. Today, across the South, Southeast Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. This is Texas A&M. J.J. Watt is on Twitter right now going crazy like he's a 5-year-old kid saying it is snowing in Houston, Texas. So this is a big deal. This system across the South is going to bring measurable snow to areas that don't typically see snow, especially this early on. Now, where are you ladies from?
Macon, Georgia.
You know that it's snowing in Macon, Georgia.
That's
and how are you liking New York?
It's awesome.
Okay, and Jillian, I want you to pay attention here. Where are you from?
Newark, Delaware.
And what are you doing with these T-shirts?
Big Eagles fan and the anniversary shirt we got.
Show us the back of your shirts. together since 1981. Isn't that awesome? Oh, I know. And listen, one more shout out to my girls at Michigan Mittens. They gave me, have you ever seen, the Mitt of Michigan? This is an actual Mitt of Michigan with a map on it. Isn't that awesome? Yeah? Wave to everybody at home. Merry Christmas.
That is really cool.
Yeah, cross-section of
Fox
American geography.
I love that when I meet someone from Michigan, I'm like, where are you from? And they're like, hold up your hand. Right
I've
there.
never done that.
There.
Great.
Yeah.
I love that.
All right. JD, thank you.
I love that the people had to leave Georgia. They left the snow in Georgia to come to New York. Anyway, sorry.
And we got a cold day for him. All right. Meanwhile, 17 minutes before the top of the hour, civil rights icon, that man right there, Congressman John Lewis, has called President Trump in the past illegitimate. Now he's even refusing to go to the opening of a civil rights museum because President Trump is going to be there.
Welcome back to Fox and Friends. Well, first he claimed President Trump was not a legitimate president, and then he boycotted the inauguration. Now House Democrat John Lewis says he's skipping the opening of the Mississippi Civil Rights Museum because President Trump is attending that opening, saying in a joint statement with Mississippi Democrat Benny Thompson, quote, President Trump's attendance and his hurtful policies are an insult to the people portrayed in this civil rights museum. The struggles represented in this museum exemplify the truth of what really happened in Mississippi. Here with reaction, former NYPD lieutenant and Army veteran, Dr. Darren Porcher. Doctor, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Pete.
They gave a segment to a couple of Army guys. That was a bad thing to do here.
2 ex-Army officers.
That's right.
It couldn't be better.
There we go. Well, John Lewis, an icon of the civil rights era. This is an important moment, opening a museum. But is it the right place to boycott because the President of the United States will be there as well?
I strongly disagree with his actions. I'm a strong proponent for race relationships, and when we look at what the congressman has done in connection with Trump, this really sets us back. This should be a harbinger for greater race relationships moving forward. There's been an acrimonious relationship between Trump and his congressman. However, we need to put this aside, and we need to coalesce together as races and as parties, Democrats and Republicans, move forward and set this as a watershed moment in how race relations could be better.
Absolutely. I mean, there are very few moments where people who disagree ideologically can still come together and celebrate something like this. This museum opening strikes me as a perfect example of that. Is this a political thing? Is this very personal for John Lewis? Where does this animus come from?
Absolutely political. Imagine if Trump didn't go to this. What would people say if Trump didn't show up? Oh, he's a racist. He's this, that, and the other thing. But you have to take in consideration, Donald Trump has done some really good things for the African-American community. You look at a 3% increase in GDP, et cetera. There's been crime reduction nationally. Therefore, this is a strong platform for the congressman to coalesce behind Trump and move forward and say, hey, look, you know what? We're coming together as a unit, and this is necessary. We want to patronize the opening of this museum, and I think that it's a great thing to do, but the congressman, unfortunately, is going to be left on the shelf.
It's a great point. Joblessness has dropped significantly in the black community under this president. Some policies really making a difference. I want to bring you to another topic, the NFL. Roger Goodell just signed a $200 million contract. $40 million a year, not too bad. While still 25 players around the league took a knee last weekend. How does it make you feel, as a veteran yourself, to see this kind of reward to someone who hasn't been able to address something as basic as standing for our nation's anthem?
Well, you know as well as I do, you lead from the front. That's the military's concept. You lead from the front. Here we have Roger Goodell, he's leading from the rear. There's been precipitous drops in ratings, and it really begs the question of what is he doing as a leader to mend the fences here, so to speak. One thing I think he should do is take a page out of the NBA's playbook. Adam Silver made this as a requirement for players to stand for the anthem, as opposed to Roger Goodell. Unfortunately, he withered under the pressure of the players, and I think that it's a travesty in the wake of the NFL trying to do better things for the community.
You raise a great point about ratings. They're down significantly this year from 2015 and 2016.
And I'm a Cowboys fan too.
Yeah. I'm sorry for that. I'm a Vikings fan. We're 10-2, so I just want to remind you that. But I'll say we're in the rating business as well. If our ratings were down significantly, you wouldn't be signing a big, shiny new contract.
Absolutely, you're out the door.
Leading from the front is right. Darren Porcher, thanks a lot.
As always, a pleasure, Pete.
Always. All right, up next, Planned Parenthood under investigation by the Department of Justice. We'll tell you why they're under investigation at the top of the hour.